Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the 808 podcast where I interview business owners, CEOs, and whoever else I feel like. 4 questions, 8 minutes and 8 seconds, because 808 looks like Bob. Here we go. Question number 1, in a few sentences, tell us who you are and what do you do?
Keith Finger, founder of Burn the Boat. I help people who are frustrated and discontent with their life and career. I help them find fulfillment and satisfaction.
Boom, right into the point. Love it. Keith, question number 2, what advice do you want to share? Go.
The advice that I would share with people is 5 ways to have a successful career and life change. Number 1, follow your heart and don't necessarily dwell on gratefulness. It's great to be grateful for what you have, but there's nothing wrong for you to strive for what's in your heart, to strive for that bigger thing. Also, don't wait for how you'll do it to figure out what it might be. Because once you know what it might be, the universe acts in mysterious ways and will help the how happen. Also, understand what your definition of success is. Is it currently the definition that your parents had growing up? Are you living your life or are you living someone else's life? So understand how you define success. Also, let go of the past. You are the author of your future, though you may be a product of your past. The past is not your future. So let go of what you think the past is, because it is certainly not going to be what your future is. And finally, use the right process. What I find is that people, when they're looking to change their career, they'll use a job change process. So they go on LinkedIn or they go on Indeed and they look for jobs that match up with what they think their skills are, but it's a different type of way of doing it. There are other things that you have to bubble up to the surface around what's in your heart and your motivations and your values. So use the right process and you'll get a much better result.
So you mentioned before letting go of the past. Can you give me an example of someone you've worked with? You don't need to use their name, that was able to let go of their past and what results they got from it.
Yeah, for sure. Well, actually, what a lot of people have is they have this critical voice. I like to call it the saboteur. Some people call it their gremlin. It's this inner critic in our head. And we all have it. I have it. If anyone's ever had imposter syndrome, that's what powers imposter syndrome. And so this is what can keep us in the past by telling us, well, this is what you're about, and this is all you can do. And once you become conscious of that, about this voice in the moment, it's much easier to then call it out. And some funny things that I tell people to do is give your saboteur a funny name. Write your saboteur a note about how it's being unhelpful. And you know, in the moment, you can even talk down to your saboteur and say, you know, get out of here. You're not right. You probably want to make sure there's nobody around when you do that, because people might think you're a little bit nuts. But being aware in the moment that this is happening can help you push back and be the person that you're capable of being.
Perfect. Love that there. Let's get to question number 3. So what other top CEOs, business owners, or influencers that you know that are successful just like you that you want to give a shout out to?
Well, first I want to give a shout out to my kids, Jason and Jamie, who will be very embarrassed that I mentioned their name on this podcast. I want to give a shout out to a good friend and a really great business infrastructure and business scaling guru, Alicia Butler-Pierre. Mike Wittenstein, who is knows an incredible amount, great person about customer experience. And finally, for social media, Marie Contreras, love her. Great social media person.
Perfect. I'll look them up when we're done here. Except for your kids, I'm assuming they're not, in business, so you just want to embarrass them.
One is, and one's in law school.
Okay, there we go. Perfect there. So let's get to question number 4, Keith, the final fun question. So tell me about your first sale.
My first sale, I'm going to tell you about, I can't remember the very first one, but I'm going to tell you one that really struck me because it came out of a referral. And it sort of crystallized this idea how powerful a referral can be. And how I might know this person. At the time, I belonged to a networking group. And somebody had mentioned my name, to somebody who they happened to be having a conversation with without even knowing that that person, I think, was looking for someone who could help them. And it was just this incredible, coming together of these two forces that no one would have thought about, but it just worked like that. And if I hadn't known this person and we hadn't had a networking conversation about what we each do and how we can help each other, that referral would never have happened. So that was a very powerful reminder for me.
No, I personally love referrals. I get a lot of them myself. I always tell people you can't rely on them.
Right. Right. It's not the only thing you can do. You have to have sort of a mix. You have to have different tentacles, I like to say, of how you get business.
Right. And just like referrals, they're trees that you can prune, but sometimes you can't prune a tree too much or it has no fruit on it. And it's just, not even leaves.
I love that. I never thought of it. You're right. It's a tree. Sometimes you have to wait for it to bloom, and then you can go and pull it off the tree and wait a little bit longer and wait for the next one.
Exactly there. So Keith, you have 2 minutes and 30 seconds left.
Yes.
We can do some promo time. You can ask me a question. You can talk about the pictures behind you. Whatever you want, go for it.
I tell you what, why don't I talk about the pictures behind me? Because one of the things about me that I like to talk about, I love to talk about travel. I've been to over 40 countries. Things have been a little bit slow in the last year. In fact, a year ago, I was in Peru, and it was my last trip. I didn't know that at the moment. So the pictures behind me, let's see. The one over here with the 2 chairs, that's in Brighton, England, a very rocky beach. The one above it is in, Venice. Looks like kayaks, but they're actually gondolas. The one in the middle of that is it's a small one in Delray Beach, Florida, at an old-fashioned ice cream stand. Then we have these things. Some people think that these are shoes. These are actually 3-foot-long frozen tuna at the former Tsukiji fish market in Tokyo. I took that about 6 a.m. and fantastic. Love that place. They just closed it a couple of years ago and moved it to a different location. Love Japan, and I love this place. And the last one is over here. That's in Florence, Italy. That's the Ponte Vecchio.
Nice.
And I'll tell you a funny story about that. Several years ago, my son went there with his girlfriend, and he sends me a picture, and it says, "Hey, this is where we're staying." And it was actually on the exact opposite of where I took that picture. It was on the other side of the river. It was very funny. He was looking where I had taken the picture at that window.
Well, that's awesome. Love it there.
Yeah. So
hey, well, you have 50 seconds left. Do you want some promo time?
Yeah, yes. If you're someone who's in their 30s, 40s, maybe even 50s, and you're feeling just a bit frustrated, you've gotten into your career, and maybe, something inside you has changed. Your motivation has changed. What you want out of life has changed. I would love to speak with you and help you figure out what you really want in life and how to get there.
Boom, right into the point. You pulled it off. 4 questions in 8 minutes and 8 seconds. Why is it 8 minutes and 8 seconds?
Because it looks like Bob.
Exactly there. Exactly. Keith, say your website real quick.
Burn the Boat. www.burntheboat.
Perfect. It's in the description. It's magic. Keith, thank you so much for being on. Tip of the hat to you.
Thank you very much. This has been wonderful. Thank you, Bob.
You're welcome. And for everyone else watching or listening, I'm legally required to tell you to like, share, comment, subscribe, thumbs up, ring the bell, whatever the heck the social media network tells you to do. You all have a wonderful day now. Talk to you later. Bye.